Erica Jane. Hello, Joe. How are you guys? How are you? How are you?
There we
Love
go.
to see you.
Hey
Joe's
there.
looking very intense and focused there. Hello, Erica.
I'm
I just
upstairs drying my hair, so I'm just on mute
uh,
listening in. So
no problem, no problem. We had fun participating in Erica's practice yesterday. It was
oh yeah.
great fun. Yeah, we just I don't know, we just goofing about. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, how are you, Joe? How are you, man? How are you?
Good. We're doing good. This was
Yeah,
a
I
it was a
like I
better
like
week than
your
last
your,
week.
your Black Ops. I like your Black Ops outfit. Did you just come from a mission?
Oh no, it's just cold.
It does look like that, doesn't it? It's cool. It's cool. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
You know,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is
Secret Agent Joe. I like
this
that.
is a really cool room, but it's surrounded by windows and there is no insulation at all.
Right,
So it
right,
gets
right.
very cold in the
Yeah,
winter and then it
same,
gets really hot in the summer.
same. Where that I'm in too. I'm surrounded by windows. It's nice
Hmm.
for the view, but it makes for very poor insulation. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. What can you do though? What can you do?
Yeah.
Uh, Joe, anything that's come up in your week? Anything that's kind of stuck out? Anything that's been anomalous? I'm curious to hear.
Anomalous in my week.
Anomalous. Yes, yes.
Anomalous.
Like Captain, log range sensors report an anomaly of the starboard bow. No
I don't
anomalies, nothing
I don't know that I
unusual.
had any anomalies this week. This week was a lot more normal than last week at least.
Interesting, interesting. Wow, that's pretty cool though. I mean, that's a good in a way, right?
Hmm.
Anything unusual, a little different, a little kind of pique your interest to say, that kind of made me think a little bit.
Um, no, honestly, not particularly this week. I think I kind of I tried to
Say Erica, say
what about Eric?
Erica. Say Erica.
Oh,
Something made me
Eric is
think.
the anomaly. No, that's
I'm
normal.
trying to whisper confidentially. Say,
It doesn't have quite the same effect when I'm on the phone.
yeah, well, we can always try.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go male idiocy, right? No, yeah, yeah. It's like a free bonus. You know what I mean? If you say, "Oh, what made me think?" Well, Erica, man. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, bonus card there. Yeah,
Hmm.
bonus point. That's really interesting. The reason I ask is because it has been an unusual week for every participant, where things have happened where they could practice what we really focused our attention on. And this was really intriguing to me. I mean, over and above any kind of statistics or improbability, of just like off the charts. Really astonishing that there was this just opportunity to put into practice whatever had been focused on. Now, maybe you hadn't been focusing on anything in particular, so maybe that it doesn't apply. I don't know, but
Hmm. Yeah, I
that's
think
why I'm
this week I
asking.
kind of since last week was so unusual with all the weather related events we had at work.
Yeah,
I think this week I spent more time just trying to unplug and relax and just try to mentally slow things down a bit.
yeah. So you did get that opportunity then.
Yes, this week I did.
So same pattern then. That's really
Mhm.
fascinating, right? But your intent was, and you had a focus on intensity, and then your intent shifted to say, well, you know what, enough intensity. We need kind of chill now, and you had a chill week.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's
Also,
right.
the implication of that is really awesome. If you
Mhm.
had a chill week this week, that means you really, really did well last week.
I mean, yeah, it means we did as good as we could have last week. Yeah.
Right, right. I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise you would still be having problems and still be dealing with it. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. And to know and be aware and to communicate that you are able to deal with emergencies and unusual situations, deal with them efficiently, effectively, and quickly as well, right?
Mhm.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah,
You
that's a
send, you
key.
send it.
It's
If I were you, I'd send my boss a memorandum and said, you know what, we really did well. My team did well. We dealt with it quickly, efficiently, effectively, blah blah. Just give
Mhm.
your team the kudos. But if you're promoting your team, by implication, it's on file that, well, it's your team that did well. You're not saying anything about you, but by implication. I don't know, just good business strategy. But okay, that's just me.
I had a similar conversation about that like 2 hours ago with a guy on my team. The guy's name is Aaron, and he's super talented. He's incredibly smart. He's the best guy we
Wow.
have.
Wow.
And he wants to move into leadership positions in the future. And he's mid to late 30s. You know, he's not old by any young guy.
Yeah.
But he's so good. It's very easy for him to come into a situation and say, you know, oh, something is going seriously wrong. I know exactly what it is. I know how to fix it. Boom, it's done. So unintentionally, he becomes the hero of the situation. So he and I had a conversation today about you need to start helping other people be the hero instead of you.
Be a Michael Jordan.
Yeah. You indirectly are going to get credit for this, but they need to be the ones who get the hero and the kudos right away. And the wow, that was really great.
Michael's reputation as a great basketballer is not founded on his individual talents and capabilities, as wonderful as they were, but on his magical ability to make his teammates better.
Mm-hmm.
This is what made him a great basketballer, and that's what he takes pride in too, of making the rest of his team good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas others who had individual technical skills didn't do so as well. Yeah.
Yeah. We watched that like ESPN documentary miniseries on Michael Jordan and like the 1990s Bulls.
I watched that in real time. I haven't seen the documentary, but I watched that in real time. I was in there. I followed it very closely, watched all the area. It was fantastic to watch because I watched what Michael Jordan was doing. I recognized it, and that's what I watched. It was a whole, philosophical, spiritual activity. It wasn't about basketball. There was a lot more involved. So yeah, I'll make a point to watch that at some point. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
They made it recently.
It was I think it came out last year. It was really good. It was 6 or 8 episodes. It wasn't horribly long, but they talked about things like that, about
recently in the last couple of years,
leverage the talents of other people and
correct. Which is, others like Kobe Bryant for me. I never liked Kobe Bryant. As wonderful and talented as he was, he was just all about himself. I'm sorry, but he was just all about himself. And it was that it kills basketball. That idealism of you, the hero, and you gonna maximize and get maximum points. You're missing the objective here. It's a team sport.
Yeah. His view was I'm the best compared to like Michael Jordan's view of we are the best.
Correct. It's profound. It's a magic difference. Very cool. So that might be interesting for him to watch your teammate, your team guy.
Yeah, I'll ask him if he's seen it.
Yeah, actually make it mandatory for the whole team to watch it.
I don't know if I can get away with that, but I can suggest it. I can't make it mandatory.
Well, I'm saying is if you recommend it to the team, then it's not specific to him, but he gets to watch it as well, And if he doesn't, then you've got a case for your team thing already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because if they also see this, then they can play, because some of his teammates understood this also. And they played in such a way to facilitate him giving them the opportunity. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think Scottie Pippen used to say that he would position himself in such a way to give Michael the opportunity to make him better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So very interesting. Very cool. Yeah. Exciting stuff. So also, I feel that this guy of yours, Mr. Aaron, is saying, hurry up and get promoted, Joe, so that I can have your job.
Yeah. I don't know if you want. That might be his goal, but this isn't the job for him.
Okay.
Not right away. This is not the job for someone with no experience.
Very interesting. And is he aware of that?
I think he is. Yeah. Before I came into this role, there were a couple of people who applied for it, but it would have been their first supervisory role, and it's a little too high. It's a little too high. This sounds conceited, but it's almost a little too high profile or visible.
Yeah. Technical hotshots don't often understand that management is not your knowledge of technology. Yeah, that makes for management. You cannot know the technology very well, but be a very, very good manager, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, management is its own, leadership is its own skill on itself,
Exactly.
regardless of what you're
Exactly.
what team you're leading.
Exactly.
The one thing I have
Exactly.
found is I've had to find ways to, since I'm a technical guy, I've had, and as a leader, you have to step further and further away from the technology.
Yes.
But since I'm I'm a nerd, I hate that. So I've had to find small ways to kind of satisfy my nerd itch and get my hands on some kind of technology every once in a while. You got to find a way to balance it.
Yeah. It's a problem when fighters become generals. They can't fight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I hate it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting, but you do need to keep your hand in, so you can justify it to say, look, I need to stay connected, because if I lose connection with the technology, right, even though I can't always be in it, I still need to know what it is. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to have some experience.
I mean, you have to be have an acquaintance with the technology. Yeah.
I need to know, at a higher level how it works, not the deep
Correct.
weeds.
You have to have proficiency. Yeah.
Conversational.
You don't have to have expertise, right? You don't have to have expertise in the technology, but you do have to have proficiency. Yes.
Yeah, I have to have proficiency.
If you're proficient, you can understand the expert.
Yeah, I have to have proficiency, and then I have to have the expert on my team. I have to make sure I have the expertise available to me. To us.
Exactly. But you have to be able to recognize expertise because you're proficient. Yes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, very, very cool. Exciting stuff. How's the job search going and all that?
It's tough. It's still slow. I found an interesting job in it's in San Diego that I applied for. And just the fact that it's in San Diego makes me a little bit nervous because of cost of living and the whole freaking state is just on fire at this point. But it's this it's a company called Flock Freight. It's a shipping company, and it doesn't sound that exciting, but they've created this. It's really a technology company at its core. They've created this proprietary software that allows all these manufacturers to schedule shared shipping loads. So instead of having a whole truck, they can share the truck, and it reduces environmental impact and and
that's what when you said shipping, and my first thought was if you in there and they're looking for you, this is highly technology, and I don't think many people always think of shipping that way. But that, to me, shipping is like the cutting edge of like efficiency management and time and energy management. I mean, do we really manage your shipping in impeccability in action? There you go. So very cool.
Yeah, so
very complex.
It's 170 people right now, but they want to expand to like 1,000 people in the next 2 years or 3 years. So a huge growth company. They did I think their round C of funding, and they raised like $115 million, which is a lot for round C for a company that's still that size.
Wow.
So that
does sound like a cool opportunity.
Yeah, that could be pretty exciting, and it's the technology that I love. It's the infrastructure, the back office technology.
Yeah. Right, and in a situation like that, you're getting in pretty much on the ground floor. Stock options. This becomes a significant thing if you really believe in the company, and it does go the way it should go. As long as your salary, of course, is an appropriate salary, but if you have that extra bonus of the stock options, those can sometimes be leveraged into millions. And it's a significant thing, multi-millions. So it's a big deal. Plus, when you are in on the ground floor and the company grows like crazy, especially in the process of growing, you rather promote what you know already is a guaranteed thing, especially when you're hiring people fast. So, internal promotion tends to be much more rapid than in slower, more established companies. There's no new places for you to go to in Williams. You've got to wait until the people die or retire, right?
Yeah, my boss is probably going to retire this year, so there's that potential. But then after that, it's 10 years to the next one.
Exactly.
And I'm not. Williams is a good company, but I'm not. I like what I do. I like my team. I like the technology that I work with, but I'm not passionate about the underlying product that the company.
Correct. Your full heart is not in it. Yes.
it's interesting, but the technology is more interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And this company is that's a, when do you have the opportunity to potentially, get in on the ground floor and be with a company as it goes public? And, they're trying to revolutionize
That's
a
very
pretty
exciting.
stagnant
That's very
industry.
exciting. Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially one which part of its mandate is to make an environmental difference by being more efficient, more effective, sharing resources. They are looking. Basically, this company is promoting collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
It is monetizing collaboration. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the
Yeah,
environmental impact
that is
all over their
ridiculously cool.
website.
I think. Yeah, yeah. Wow, there you go. Very cool. That's very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And is it
So that's
something that you feel is somewhat realistic that you pursue or not?
I do, based on the qualifications in the job role, I do think it's realistic. I don't think it's too far out of left field, but
Nice.
it's the only challenge is it's an incredibly competitive kind of position, right? It's in California is a very competitive area by itself, and then it's a competitive position in that area. But they're all competitive positions that I'm looking at. That's why I'm having it's been over a year at this point that I've been looking.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah,
it's the journey,
it's
right?
exciting. Plus,
it's the journey. It's
the San Diego, if they are expanding rapidly, you would think that they're not going to be confined to San Diego for very long. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. They're looking at building new facilities, like a new office facility, and I don't know where that is. And that's one thing that I really, really like doing is building new working facilities. I think that's really fun.
Wow. Did you put that in your application?
Yeah. I've done that several times up when Eric and I were in Pittsburgh. And those were some of the most fun, memorable projects that I've ever done. And it's very tangible. It's a building.
Very cool. Very cool. And Erica, how do you feel about this? I'm very nosy. I'm very curious. I like to know all such things. So this is probably mind my own business, but I just like details and always curious.
Yeah, I think it sounds really interesting. And I mean, Joe and I were talking the other day about the location, and I feel this major pull kind of all the time to be going overseas. But we were talking about how, realistically, that may be there may be a stop off in between before we're able to make that happen. And so for me, whatever is going to get Joe to a place where he's happier with sort of the overall situation, the better.
Exactly. Very cool. Brilliant. These things have a way of working out if you just have the patience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't force it, or you don't make decisions out of desperation, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's the key. All right, Joe, let's hear what you've been up to otherwise in terms of going through the program, notes, takeaways, feedbacks. Very keen to hear.
I went through module 3 of WOI Impeccability. I went through module 3, session 2. And actually my very first takeaway is actually what you just said. So the very first takeaway that I wrote down was capital T trust is a trust in our personal power. It's the trust will make things work out regardless of not knowing how. All right, so things have a way.
Can you repeat the last sentence, please? Sorry.
It's the trust that will make things work out regardless of not knowing how.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
Exactly what you just said. Very applicable to, I don't know how we're going to get overseas. I don't know how we're going to get out of Oklahoma, but I know that we'll figure it out.
Yes. And that's trust in your ability to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say this is one of your prime, most treasured, most valuable abilities?
The trust that I'll figure it out, even if I don't know how. Yes.
Yes.
That wasn't always the case. That was when I got sent to the Northeast in 2012. I didn't know how to do anything that they were asking me to do. And there was no one up there to help me. So I had to I had to figure out how to trust myself really, really quickly on being able to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And that's something that I still feel like I'm still pushing with the team that I have now. Is I'm pushing them to move into areas that they're uncomfortable with, they're unfamiliar with. But I trust them that they're going to figure it out, even though we don't know how to do it yet. They don't always trust themselves yet. But hopefully we've got some good examples. We've made a couple of very large changes in the last 2 years that everybody was really nervous about, but we figured it out. Or they figured it out, and it works really well now.
Fantastic.
Let's see here. The next one I wrote down was impeccability demands throwing out any petty ego and emotional considerations. Lowercase ego.
Yeah. Very cool. Demands throwing out any petty or inappropriate ego and emotional considerations. So the other side of ego is built into the quote with that inappropriate in brackets, the implication being it sometimes can be appropriate. Yes. Yeah. I mean, ego that gets us motivated, that gets us moving, that gets us learning, that gets us not liking being ignorant and so on. It's a powerful force, no?
Yeah. And the lowercase ego, I think, can sometimes that can turn into, as you grow, that can turn into the uppercase.
Exactly. Let me ask you something about ego, because this came up in discussions in the Zoom sessions. Like, okay, how do you decide when ego is useful or not? What makes that determination? And the idea was, or at least the sort of perspective on it is that you can know when you have some command over ego as a tool, when you can let it go or not, when you have choice to use ego or not. When ego becomes choiceless, this is when the tool rules you and you don't rule the tool. Yeah. So always just ask yourself, when ego comes into the picture, can I let this go? Can I not act according to the ego point that's pressing me? And if you can say yes, and it's true, well, then okay, ego's not a factor. I'm using it as a tool. I'm using it as motivation. I'm not doing it for its own sake. And that's when it gets to be problematic, yeah?
I think when I came out of school, my lowercase ego was driving my career decisions and my aspirations. I wanted to be a CIO because my dad was a CIO, not because I knew that's what was going to make me happy or feel fulfilled. It was just that was the target that was in front of me. So I was like, oh, I should go for that. And I wanted to be more successful than my friends that I graduated with. And then as I've gone through the last, I've been at Williams for 12, 13 years now. And especially in the last, this is something that I think Eric has really unintentionally driven in me, is the change from the lower ego to the uppercase ego, where it's more focused on, what's right for me, what is happiness and joy for me. Who gives a shit about, my dad was a CIO and he wants me to be a CIO. He still does. But I honestly don't care.
Nice joke. Yes.
Yeah.
Erica, can you give me a J, please?
I was just about to say, yay! I agree.
Yeah. If my career takes me there, it takes me there. But it's going to take me there because that's where I feel I can have the most impact. That's where I feel the most fulfilled. Because that's what I enjoy about leadership positions.
Yeah. Because it's right for you.
Yeah.
It's right for you according to your conscience, your motivations, your things that are important to you. Yeah, what's meaningful and significant to you, not for any other reason. So it's if you're going to do it because you're expressing your independence of being. Yeah. That's impeccability right there,
Yeah. Let's see.
Absolutely.
He says, yeah, so casually and in passing. Whatever. Love it. Very cool. So, Erika, I jumped in there. What are you going to say?
Oh, I was just agreeing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a big point. It's huge. You know, I don't want to minimize it, Joe. It's a subtle point. It's a simple point. It's an obvious point. But you know, the obvious, like in this case, the simple, it's so profound. This is a massive life-changing perspective. So yes, it's
Absolutely.
already in you. All I'm focusing on is the emphasis of it. To appreciate it, I'm sharing my appreciation of it as being a huge, massive, big deal. You want to come to say, oh, what are my accomplishments? That right there, as far as I'm concerned, is one of your major, major, most profound accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a real accomplishment because you see how somebody who does not acquire this accomplishment and loses out, your father.
Mm-hmm.
He lost out because he never accomplished this particular perspective shift, right?
I don't know if he did or not, but
As a person, at least from the outside, you know what I mean? He pursued that ambition and status and all this stuff, and he paid a large price for it, at least from our perspective. Again, we can't always speak exactly, we can't speak for them in the inside, but for all appearances and purposes, yeah.
mm-hmm.
At least as an example for us, a cautionary tale, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. It cautions me. So, okay, thank you. I'll take that. If it's different, I'm yay, but if not, I learn from it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Let's see. The next one was, if we do not move into joy, it's as if we are saying, I do not appreciate who I am and what I am and who I have become and who I will be.
Wow.
I wrote it down because I think
Wow.
that slide was talking about really, if you're not moving into joy, it's because you don't trust yourself.
Correct. Yeah. And you're not trusting the overall process, and you don't have a real purpose and intent and a point to it, right? Because we have other weapons and shields, those of energy and intent, power, sobriety, trust, awareness, and our ultimate power, weapon, and shield, joy. Yeah. So it's really leveraging all of everything under this umbrella of joy. It becomes a tool for us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Change my screen size. There we go. Let's see. Why and how the eventual results turn out is largely up to the universe. How we deal with what matters is up to us. How we deal with it along the way is up to us. How we respond to it. I think that one resonates with me because I think that's kind of how I approach a lot of situations, and that might, I think maybe that, annoys people at a certain point in time, or maybe, bugs Erica or her mother, because I'm, what are we gonna, if we, we don't know what we're gonna do, and I'm like, well, I don't know, what does it matter?
There you go. There you go. How about this quote here? I cannot say I am something, but I can say I am not nothing.
Yeah, I do remember that one. It was a little, the way it was worded confused me a little bit.
So in the context of big ego and little e, I cannot say I am something. I can't say that definitively. I don't know what something means. I have no idea. But I can say for sure I'm not nothing.
Not nothing. Like I'm not nothing at all.
I'm not nothing. I'm at least a something, but I can't say I am a something. You see what I mean? I can't
I
claim
may
to
not know
be
what that
anything, but
something is.
exactly, because I don't know. Well, typically when you say I am something, it implies there's some importance or value to it or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can say I'm not nothing, which means that I do have value. How much I can't determine. That's the point of this, the subtle point here, right? I have value. How much? That's open. I don't know. That's not for me to say, because who knows? It's impossible question to answer. But I don't want to by default say because I'm not a something definitively means I have no value by implication, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's important because I have value even though I'm not a something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
point.
quote. I had forgotten about that. That was a long time ago, but I love that quote.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's so huge. And it's just our humility not trapping itself in over humility and over modesty to by default say, well, I've got no value because I'm not special. No, I've got value because I'm not nothing. End of story. That's it. Very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I guess there are certain situations where, what I am depends on that situation, or who's the outside observer.
Exactly. But it's just about feeling valuable. I'm valuable because I'm not nothing. End of story. How much doesn't matter. My humility, my ego doesn't come into it. I'm simply stating a simple fact. Same as everybody. We all have value because we're not nothing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Integrity, honesty, character, ethics, impeccability are not optional elements of our own personal style. Now I just wrote that one down. I just wrote that one down because it specifically called out these are mandatory items that if you are being impeccable and you're being the best version of you, then you must be being these things.
Yeah.
They're
the non-negotiable aspects of ourselves. Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the situation is. These are the constants.
Yeah. So if you say that question, who am I? Would you say, well, I'm somebody who has integrity, honesty, character, impeccability, ethics, and so forth. That's who I am. These are my constants.
Yeah. Everything else is. It depends what my intent is for that particular situation.
I'm grinning at you, Erica Jane.
I know. I was just about to say, this is so on point with what we were just talking about. It's not even funny. That was Joe. That was basically our entire conversation yesterday, was me talking, or actually this week, I think, it was me talking about, as I'm sort of opening myself up to shadow aspects of self and things that I've locked away for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've sort of started to question, like, okay, do I know who I am? And, how do I answer that? What is constant underneath all of this? Should I be constant? Should I not? Is it bad to change? Or, should I always be staying the same? And we were talking about, basically remaining open to being whatever's appropriate in a given circumstance. As your awareness changes, as the information changes, you get to choose the answer to the question, who am I? And it's not wrong or bad or non-committal or inappropriate to change your self-conception throughout time or space or whatever, because Syl kept saying, you can say, I am choice, and choice is open. It's not wrong to make new choices about who you are. And that has been huge in like just freeing me from this concept of being concerned over, do I have a single purpose or not? Do I have a single self-conception or not? Shouldn't I want to be constant and, not flighty and whatever? And no, it's not being non-committal. It's being open and appropriately adaptive to my environment.
And you are capital C choice, which means you are also a continuum.
Right.
Your choice is constant. It's always updating, always updating, much like I would imagine in IT, right? The decisions aren't constant. They're constantly monitoring and they adaptive to the information as it comes on, right? Those choices are constant. It's a continuum, yeah?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like your software decides to make a decision and it sticks with it for a day or a month or something, and then you come along and you review it and see, do I need to update now? No, it updates on the fly, or at least your good software, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a continuum. Choice is a continuum, in other words, not from one choice to another.
And I think for me, in the IT conversation, it's kind of similar. I mean, my entire conception of choice before, I loved what Sue said yesterday about it being like the inappropriate view of choice being this sort of like twisted kind of loyalty to your choices. And that it's kind of like decide, okay, like we started out in coding, coding in programs like COBOL and different things, because at that point in time, with the technology that was available and the awareness and understanding that we had of how things worked, that was appropriate. And if we made the choice, if we decided that, well, I made the choice to use this software, and so I can never stray from this because then I'm being disloyal or non-committal or whatever, then that's not appropriately adapting to the new information and surroundings and awareness. So as new information becomes available, you update your software. And that's not wrong. That's just making a new choice.
Yeah. Oh, how cool is that? Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Just want to add something about the quote, Joe, that I'm. Will you please, sir, please repeat that quote?
The one about what I am or am not?
Yes.
1 second. I want to read the exact quote. I cannot say I am something, but I can say I am not nothing.
Yeah, because when first time I had this, and I was saying it's like a bit of ego thing that, oh, I'm nothing. I'm saying that the choice of words for it seems like, but later on I realized that it is necessary to understand that who am I really, because it's a responsibility involved in that. If I'm nothing, I can do whatever I want to. It's not going to make any difference. So by implication, if I'm just saying for myself, oh, I'm nothing, whatever I want to, right? It's not going to make any difference. Make a difference.
Why?
So me, when I'm saying that, who am I? The precise, the appropriate idea of myself, the real idea of myself, it has to be there with me, because it makes me understand that how much my actions and my intents are going to affect others around me and world in general. So it's a kind of a responsible idea for me to understand that who am I, and to my actions might influence and affect my surroundings and other people. So that was the
Wow, cool, Beena.
for me.
Very cool, very cool. Additional nuance, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like, why I'm saying that, because might be an ego-driven kind of a quote. But when I was trying to understand, and then I realized that I have to have clear and precise idea of why, because it is going to makes me aware of my responsibilities towards my actions and my intents. Otherwise, I can say that, okay, if I'm nothing, I'm just a bubble, I can be pop, like, okay, whatever I'm doing, no problem. Whatever I want to.
Very cool, very cool. Very cool, very cool. What you thinking, Joe?
Oh, no, sorry. I was getting a chat from someone at work about an issue.
Yes, okay. Okay, I was going to say, there's a big frown there. I was like, what Beena's saying is, well, it's interesting that you're responding to it this way.
Yeah.
Very cool. No worries, no problem.
No, yeah,
we appreciate, stuff comes from outside. No worries.
Yeah, when I read that quote, so the thought train that Beena had about, if I am nothing, I can do anything I want to, with, little to no consequence.
Yeah,
that is a really interesting perspective. That didn't cross my mind.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're a good person.
That can be dangerous.
Exactly. That's the philosophy of the irresponsible, but you're very responsible, so it's just not part of your thinking, but it is useful to at least understand other ways of thinking. It's very useful, because otherwise we get in that bubble of seeing the world only within our own conception, and that can be very dangerous. Yes. Yeah, I mean, and martial arts, whenever they come into contact with some other style that they've never been familiar with, and they all, it can be very potentially devastating, right? It's outside their conception. So it's very useful to understand this. It's very cool.
Yeah. We can only not be happy when we insist on knowing everything. I wrote it down because we can only not be happy when we insist on knowing everything.
Yeah.
So that I see that. I have a couple of people on my team at work who they're super smart. They're very cautious, but they go into analysis paralysis. They have to evaluate every possible scenario that could ever possibly happen before taking the first step. And I think initially, like, they enjoy the research and the knowledge and the learning, but at some point they end up getting, it ends up like frustrating them because they realize they can't know everything. There's always going to be something that they can't figure out, and it's like they take it as like a knock on their intelligence.
We were talking about dictionary of power comes up all the time. One of the entries into my dictionary of power is probability. Probability to me is exceedingly sacred. It's really a sacred concept. For those teammates. If you say, whoa, this is about probability, you are researching all the probabilities. Yes, and that's commendable. However, at what point does probability change into improbability? That's the point where you can start to limit your research, right? When you could, and again, impeccability comes into it. When you can say in good conscience, this is a highly improbable event. We want to take care of the improbable, yes, but highly improbable, not so much. And yes, if there is a realistic chance of it occurring, we have to make allowance for it. But after that, I have to say, so be it. I can't follow each and every improbability. I will go insane.
Yeah. You make the best decision you can with the information you have, and if it was wrong, you adjust.
Exactly. And if your conscience is clear that you did adequate and appropriate research, you were diligent, you were thorough, you were scrupulous, you were conscientious. If you come afterwards and we do a review of your research and you say, yeah, look, I researched at this point, it became highly, highly, highly improbable. And it was time, energy, efficiency matter. Yes, I could follow every lead, but I'm going to have to follow a million leads to get one potential useful result. It's not a good use of my time and energy. Sorry, it's the constraints of time and energy. So be it. I'm willing to stand behind my choice. So if they apply impeccability in this sense, where being at peace with their conscience, then they can get to an end of that research and will help them inordinately, no?
Let's see.
Yeah, especially in today's world, that mindset back in the day where you had to go to the physical library, you could literally read up everything on the topic. It was finite, but in today's world, it's not possible.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's too much information available out there.
Exactly. TMI. So that what I'm advocating here is a strategy for dealing with too much information for the conscientious. They are very conscientious. Those people are getting stuck and say, yes, but to be conscientious in the full meaning of the word, go until your conscience is satisfied and then stop. It's the meaning of the word conscientious, right? Yeah, as a synonym for being thorough or scrupulous. Yeah, conscientious. Go until your conscience is satisfied and then stop. That's it. If you've done your due diligence and you feel satisfied that you've done enough, well, go a little bit more. I do. I said, I got a little bit more, just so that you can be sure. If I've done more than enough, I know for a fact I've done enough. Conscience is clear. It's very simple. Very useful. Very useful.
Let's see. The next two are related. So nincompoops are afraid of the unknown, and we are all always nincompoops to some extent.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, number one, I like the word nincompoop.
Yes, I love it. It's kind of our dictionary of power words, absolutely.
Yeah, it kind of points to this internal struggle that we all have with the fear of the unknown and knowing what's the appropriate balance of I've done enough, my conscience is clear, it's time to take action, or just let the course of events just naturally happen, and I can't control it, but I can control how I respond to it.
Yeah. A quick little side note. The word nincompoop is a very strategic usage here. It's me employing capital D diplomacy because it is such a delicious term. we respond to it with this enjoyment of the term, and we can embrace our nincompoopery, which makes us able to integrate it, connect to it, not deny it, and bring it into being. Likewise, in a leadership position, to use this word is very powerful, because nincompoop also has positive sides. It's our nincompoop that comes out in the bar, in the pub, or play when we're playing games, whatever. Our nincompoop side is the side that has fun and gets silly and all this. So it's a positive and a negative. But when you use it, it doesn't have this, okay, we're idiots, we're just fools, we're just stupid, knuckleheads. No, it's a better term. So when we use this in a leadership point, we can bring in our unawareness, our non-knowledge, and say, okay, you know what, I'm a nincompoop. I like to go to the end and I get a little bit anal about things or whatever. And we can laugh at our own foolishness and therefore make peace with it. So it's very, very powerful term. It's a real power term, this one. This is magically powerful. Very powerful. And nincompoopery, even, that both of the nincompoop and nincompoopery, very powerful terms. People love them. It's amazing. Very cool.
So this next one triggered a question in me. So joy comes from being on the journey through the unknown, which I agree with, but it leads to the question of, there are people who get joy from routine and predictability and not being on the journey to the unknown.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what does that say about those people?
Yeah. There's maybe the way this is phrased is let's reread this here, because the way you kind of took out of it, it's a nuance. But all right, let's see a little bit. There's a different way to look at this. These tools, the tools from before now, are the empowerment of the spirit warrior. Thus, what's left to do? Right? We're talking about all those tools that come in terms of humility and all of the other tools, whatever it was, patience and impeccability and so on, right? But now we say, thus, what's left to do? Once we're set on our never-ending journey into the unknown, what else do we need to accomplishment before we get to joy? Nothing. It's making the case that you don't want to be pursuing joy as an end point, because then you're going to be on a never-ending journey to joy. So you want to say, no, we want to take a joy in the now. So exactly your question is the actual answer. It is in this point. It's saying joy is our ultimate accomplishment right now. So take a joy in the mundane. Take a joy in the simple places. It's now that matters. We're going to be in a never-ending journey into the unknown. I can't wait until I get to the end of the unknown. I'll wait forever. So, and this is it's a bit of a flaw in spiritual pursuits or philosophical pursuits. You're pursuing joy. You're going to somehow get to joy one day. No, the journey is the joy. This is the objective of your journey is joy. You get joy through the journey, not at the end of the journey. Yeah. So exactly what you were saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your question is actually what the slide is pointing to, rather than it being not, it is what you said. So what's your question again, please?
So there's people out there that, they don't like the unknown. They like routine. They like predictability.
Yeah.
That's what gives them joy.
Yes.
But if joy is if you can't experience joy until you're on the journey to the unknown.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. All right. So whether we now want to be on the journey to the unknown or not, we're on it. Those people are on their journey whether they want to be it or not, right? I don't think we have much of a choice. We're on that journey anyway, because we don't know what's coming. So you're always on a journey to the unknown. So their strategy of saying, but I'm going to take joy now. Yes, it is a vital strategy, except as spirit warriors, we don't want to have the vulnerability implied with their stance. Because should the unknown rear up its head a little bit and come and pop them out of their comfort bubble, then they tend to be lost. Yes, they can't deal with it, right? COVID comes, they lose their job, they get divorced, whatever, all sorts of stuff happen, and suddenly they're completely lost. That's the flaw in their strategy. They're denying the reality of the unknown coming and smacking them upside the head every now and then, right? So all we are saying is that we're on this journey, whether we like it or not. And we are going to be focused on getting joy from this journey, whether we think of it as a journey or not. Either way, yes, what they are doing is valuable and makes sense. And I hear you what you're saying, except I don't want to be oblivious to the unknown. I just don't want to be vulnerable. So we're just adding an extra element to acknowledge that we're on the journey, but we're still focused on joy. Whether we now think we're on the journey or not, we're focused on it. We're just doing so to pay attention to the journey, because it's hard to ignore as a reality. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we don't want to make our joy conditional, in other words, and therefore vulnerable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very cool. It's very cool. I mean, your point is really cool. It's really excellent question, because it's now just taking a little bit of a nuance here and saying, yes, let's just cover all our bets. Doesn't matter, right? We're going to get joy in all circumstances, in other words. Very cool. Love it. I'll get out of screen share.
All right. Let's see.
Makes
All
it
right,
easier to navigate. Yeah.
My last takeaway was
Sorry, Joe, before you go to the last one, I want to just sorry, Joe, I just want to pick up on the next slide here, right? It's exactly what you were saying now. Our journey is not to joy, since that will take forever. Our journey into the unknown is also a journey into the magic of infinity, and as such, we cannot wait to get to joy. If we wait thinking it's the end of our journey, we'll wait for infinity. No, joy is the accomplishment which comes from being on the journey. Joy is the consequence of being on the journey. Joy is the culmination of our efforts to get onto our path. Joy is the awareness of the realization that we are now on the journey into more. Now, we're just acknowledging what's going on. And those people who say, yeah, I don't like the unknown and I just want to be safe. Fine. You're on the journey whether you now think so or not. So we're just acknowledging the reality. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really the big point here. Just acknowledgement here. So we're not vulnerable, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And of course, so a little bit of strategy involved too. Describing this, what's actually is happening, just the harsh realities of life, describing it as a magical journey into infinity and moreness. This is just our strategy, that we are leveraging reality and putting it in a nice romanticized way. It's still true. I'm not disguising the reality. I'm not closing myself to anything. I'm not shutting down, so I don't make myself vulnerable, but I'm making it fun and joyful, right? I'm romanticizing reality, without making myself vulnerable and ignoring the truth. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
All right. There was a quote near the end which I thought was pretty good. The first step is often in the dark, but when taken with integrity and impeccability, the second step turns the lights on.
This particular sentiment, at least the quote, but without the middle part. The first step is in the dark, the second step turns the light on. It's just said in a bit more comprehensive way here. But man, this for me has been huge. I've taken many steps in the dark, and it's been profound. Yeah,
I think for me, that really kind of that summarized kind of the big takeaway for me of the entire module was summarized in that one quote at the end.
And that's really nice to hear too, because the deeper intent of the way the program is structured is specifically so that the quotes connect us to the greater ineffability, the moreness, the whole that the session refers to, or even the module, right? It takes us beyond it connects us to that overallness of it. Absolutely. That's fantastic. That's really cool that you feel it that way. So very cool. Yeah. I like the picture too. It just really makes me feel like I'm coming out of the dark. Yeah. Wow, look where I'm in.
Yeah, and it's really relatable, right? Everyone has to do things that you don't know how to do, but usually once you take the first step, you know if you're on the right track or not, and you know how to adjust.
Yeah. And the key in that quote is if you've taken that first step with impeccability and integrity. That makes a big difference. That to me is the big difference. You take crappy first steps and you haven't done your homework and you've been lazy and you've been indulgent and all this other stuff. And you just end up blundering around in the dark for a long time, typically.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the end of session 2.
Okay. Brilliant. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I just want to read this slide here real quickly, just to it also exemplifies much of it for me, right? Through that joy, this joy we are acquiring simply from now. We're saying we've got to have joy now. We can't wait for it. Through that joy, this capital J joy, we empower our being. Through that empowerment, through our impeccability and our path, we move to the joyful exemplification of being, which balances our attunement with the world and enables us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what you said in the previous quote is really exemplified here, right? So that this balance with the attunement is because we are balanced and in attunement with the world at large, we can take those steps in the dark. Yeah.
With it.
Economically, if your company is in attunement with a greater economy, right? They are economically attuned to the economic climate, to taste and culture and all this. They're really attuned. And they can take the step in the dark of launching an unknown product, an unproven product. Because they're in attunement. Likely their product is going to work because they're in attunement. Step in the dark, they launch it, turns the light on, people like it, buy it, life is easy.
Yeah.
So for us too, it's a simple example, but if you take it in the greater context, so it enables us when we realize that this power to do steps in the dark, to do the unknown, to take chances, in other words, because we're in attunement, and we're in attunement because we're acting impeccably and with integrity, and we're practicing all of our skills, we are enabled, or empowered. Very cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, we get to know the humility of a spirit warrior, right? It's an empowered freedom which connects to the more and to unrelenting life efforts. Yeah. Oh, it's quote by Kay. To not acknowledge my moreness would be a lack of humility. Real humility acknowledges my dependence on the whole. It understands that I am not really anything by myself. I am part of the universe, and without the rest of the universe, I am nothing. Humility acknowledges my nothingness by myself and my moreness as part of the whole. Okay, connected. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was okay. For her.
Yeah. She's K connected. Yeah. Because she's so connected to everything, whenever she says stuff, when she goes for a walk, stuff happens that connects to what we are talking about. It's just too crazy. So very connected to the world. And a lot of magical stuff. So I'm just kind of going through them to get to the end. Yeah, a lot of slides here in the end. Okay. Wow. And session 2, a session which raises many questions. Part of its purpose, your task is to draw up these questions, to elaborate and extrapolate and bring your perspectives to the takeaway session. Do you have any questions then, Joe?
I think we covered them during the takeaways.
Right. Okay.
In our discussion.
Brilliant. All right. So the last quote here is, we have to be impeccable with being good for ourselves first. Otherwise, we will be contaminating what we send out. Yeah. That's a hard thing for earnest good people to really get into, to say, I have to pay attention to myself first. They feel selfish and they feel like they're ignoring others or that. No, you're really doing this because otherwise you contaminate what you send out.
Yeah,
very cool.
That resonates with me with a lot of conversations that I've had with Erica in the past. She's put everyone ahead of her. I'm worried about keeping them happy and people pleasing to a certain extent, instead of focusing on what is right for you and what is going to make you happy. It's always been she's been focused outside, and now she's bringing that back to what's right for her in the moment, and that naturally is going to lead to the external, helping people and making them happy and satisfying them.
Exactly. So let me ask you this shift of focus in Erica Jane, where she is really focusing on her happiness, not to the exclusion of everything else, of course, because that just would be impossible for Erica to do. But this now happier Erica internally with herself, has that made for a happier Joe?
Oh yeah, definitely. Certainly,
I rest my case.
led
Hey.
to less concern or worry on my part about, you're not focusing on yourself. You're focusing on everyone else, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not happy underneath. So yeah, that's led to less
Yeah.
stress for me.
Yeah. And that's something, Erica.
It is for sure.
I know I'm making the obvious, but it's a huge point. So it's just, the reason I do this is because of our inner bureaucrats. Erica might believe this to be so. She might know it to be so. She's reasoned it through. She's gone through all the logic. But actually, you hearing you say this in answer to that specific question, it's just that last comma that gets added to the program that finishes it. It's so simple, but it's hugely, hugely valuable for our inner bureaucrats. They're ridiculous when it comes to that last little comma that needs to be added to the program to make it work. It's a big deal. Yeah. It's really cool. Beena, before Joe goes, you have anything to add? To share?
It was all wonderful, and I thoroughly enjoyed that, especially the last one when we were discussing about, and Joe made a point about other people who are actually not into mourners. They just want to live their life. So if they are just living there and not looking for what is the joy actually at the end thing, or what about them? And I was thinking that really someone can be like this, that they just don't want to see more than what they have. But yes, when I realized, yes, it is for many people.
Yeah.
And even if a person is not looking for anything, just to be more positive about them, is they are living in the moment, and whatever they are doing, it has to be their own choices. And if they are making choices, then it is fun for them, it is joy for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it
And also, go ahead.
yeah, how different people are, how diverse they're thinking. And of course, in our world around us, there are many people. Uh, but I feel that more or less with people who with whom I interact, they all are into moreness. They are open for moreness. Sometimes, obviously, but they are. When they get this opportunity to see something more than usual, they grab it. But yes, still there are chances. Some people not into that. Okay, it is their choice.
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. The key is, and Joe, you were saying that they don't want to deal with the unknown. Yes. And they prefer to be in their bubble of safety and comfort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
If
exactly.
so here's the thing though, we've been very tricky and sneaky with ourselves because we have that same part within ourselves that doesn't want to deal with the unknown. All we've done
Yes.
is simply told the computer, you know what, unknown is actually now from henceforth relabeled mourners. And the computer said, oh, mourners. Ah, cool. Wow, brilliant. Okay, this is good because mourners is and that's it. We just used a very simple trick of simply relabeling. And because the one label has a positive association and the other one a negative one, we've changed our attitude and perceptions to it. It's quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Simple trick. So that's what Beena is saying. Those same people who are afraid of the unknown, if you bring mourners to them, wow, they get excited on it. As long as they don't think it's the unknown, then they're cool with it. It's amazing.
I would just to quickly share that it happened with me. Someone made a post in the group, and they asked for, if you can live free for life anywhere in the world, where will you choose? And because I have some liking towards Boston, and I said Boston. And when I asked Sil, and he says Beena, like, okay, um, for me it could be Louvre, it could be Vatican with the Pope, and it could be any library, a lot of things, and in New York Stock Exchange. And I was like, seriously? That was the thing, that sometimes though we are on this path, we try to be deliberately look for more, still our mind are so habitual towards in the limitedness. And that was the practice, real practice for me, to think outside the box. And I said, okay, we can think outside the box in a very practical way also. So yes, we this limitation, we all want to be in a comfort zone. Yes, it's a natural kind of a thing to us. They say, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I was like feeling safe. Boston, now I want to live there. No,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow.
And if we take it, oh, sorry, Beena, go ahead.
Saying that yes, Estelle, as you mentioned, that we all have this side inside us. Yes,
Yeah,
I also had
yeah.
that, and I still have.
So
Yes.
yeah, we can practice this. You know, thinking outside the box. It's hard to conceptualize, but for me, I practice deliberately thinking differently. So and I saw this question, somebody posted it in the group. I said, how can I answer this? How can I think differently? And the moment I said that, you know, I just, well, there's a way to come at this a little differently. And then all those things came. So it's a very, very powerful habit to practice thinking differently. It's very useful. So I don't know, it's a magical tool that we can use that shifts us in really big ways. I want to share a closing quote with you here real quick. And that has come up. So let me just screen share here in a second. So,
Hi.
it's just been here. Oh, brilliant. Have a look at this, Erica Jane, before we go. Hello. Like sneaky.
Yeah.
All right. So the quote here is, right? When not this one, but the other one upstairs here. It's the same quote, but Donna just reworked it. The quote is, when our perception changes, our perceptions change. Our changed perception changes perceptions of us. I don't want to leave it with you. Just come up. Donna shifted it to perspective, and you know, same quote, but using perspective instead of perception. So just kind of something to really think about. That, you know, when our perception changes, and it's a little play on the word too. Yeah, in the, you know, when without the S, it's a different meaning. It's not singular and plural, obviously, right? So when our perception changes, our perceptions change. Our changed perception changes perceptions of us. That relationship is a magical, profound relationship. It's very, very cool. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I mean, I noticed this in both of you, right? Erica Jane, your perceptions have changed. And it's because your perception have changed too, right?
Yeah.
Your perception has changed profoundly. And as a result, your perception, you're noticing the world in a different way, yes?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We want to deal with the abstract skill, the abstract qualities that affect perception. This is our focus, not the perceptions themselves. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It's
So
what we're about in the whole way of impeccability, the underlying logic. All right, Joe's got to go.
okay.
I do.
I assume you got to go. Maybe not. If you're not,
I do.
Huh?
Yeah, I do got to go. I got to get back to some people trying to talk to me.
Okay.
No worries, Joe. I mean, I treasure the time, so I'll hog it as much as I can, but I don't want to keep you out of things either. So brilliant. All right, you gonna go as well, Erica?
I will see you next week.
What'd you say?
Yes.
Yes. It's very cool. I love going through the sessions with you, Joe. It's a great joy. It's very cool.
Cool.
Very cool. All right. Bye-bye, man.
Erica has a guitar lesson.
Are you going as well, Erica?
Yeah, I've got to
Oh, are we gonna get to join in the guitar lesson or not?
Probably not, but we can do some more practicing.
All right. So on the video link I sent you, did you see
I
it?
haven't watched it yet, but I did see that it came through. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind. Next time. All right. We gotta go. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Beena.
All right.
Joe.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Brilliant. I just love them, Beena. I just love them. I really treasure our sessions with Joe and Erica. That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Let me end the recording so that I can get it converting before I go to sleep.